Welcome, everyone. Good evening. This is the Chakra of the Earth talk. So, we're going to be discussing the different chakras for the planet, where they're located, and what we can do with them. There we go. What are chakras? Now, I wrote the book on chakras, the 13 chakras of ancient Egypt, but they mostly relate to the chakras concerning the human body. But inside the book, I talk about the Kundalini and the different ways to be able to heal our chakras and rebalance our chakras. And that's the most important thing. To have the knowledge of the chakras in our body is not enough. We have to recognize when we are unbalanced or when we are overusing a certain chakra. So we need to reinitialize it or give it more energy. In order to do that, we must have a clear knowledge of what the chakras are. The chakras are often distributed all across the world as the 7 chakras. It's important to know that there is more than 7, and therefore, because if you neglect some, then you're lacking energies in those chakras. So even though you would like to use them, they don't have the energy to be as active as they should be or as strong as they should be. We're going to review the chakras as we're going through the talk tonight and how they connect in our body and what does it mean and which one matches the chakras on the planet. The chakras of purpose is just like the physical heart. The physical heart pumps blood in your body and distribute oxygen and nutrients to all your organs, and also removes the toxin and brings it to certain organs like the kidneys to clear out of your body and your system. So without the heart, you can't live. In the same way, the chakras are the heart that distribute the energy through different parts of your body. So if you are using the throat chakra, for example, it's distributing energy to your throat, your vocal cords, but also what are you using to speak? Your mouth, your tongue, your teeth, and also your ear. Because while you're communicating, part of communication is also listening. Yes, so we have to hear what people are saying to us before we can answer. That is true communication. So therefore, this center and all the energy that it's feeding, that is feeding the physical body, but it's also feeding your etheric body, your emotional body, your mental body, as well as your spiritual body. And therefore, as you can see, I'm running out of space for my hands, but this center feeds a lot more than just this little spot in your physical body. It requires energy to feed through all of those. So I'm going to go through all of that today. The Earth chakra, well, you're saying the Earth's a planet, so why would the planet have chakras? Well, planet Earth is a live being. It's conscious, and that's why it has a name. A lot of people will, generally speaking, call her Gaia. Gaia is a massive being, much bigger than we are. And sometimes this is where we lose the comprehension of what we're actually dealing with. Gaia is, even though a round being, is still a conscious being. And part of every being in the universe is to grow, to advance spiritually, and to understand their true purpose. This growth allows them to raise their vibration and attain higher consciousness. The planet, as part of her learning experience, has agreed to have us humans incarnate in the physical form on the planet. And so she gave us a place to grow, to evolve. And we are supposed to be connected to her. We're supposed to be more aware of how to treat her, how to respect her, because she is a living being. So therefore, we're supposed to be more conscientious of what we're doing to the planet in our actions and our purchases and what we do with everything we have. So before you go buy something, ask yourself, we were discussing how cars are made and how certain cars may look better for the environment, but they destroy the environment being built. So you have to outweigh the cost of what is the better choice between one thing or another if you're going to be purchasing something. And it also brings us to maybe it no longer fits you and you no longer like it, but it doesn't mean that it needs thrown out. Some people might benefit from what you have and you're no longer using. The more we can recycle, the more we take care of the earth, the less resources we're abusing and taking from her. Therefore, she can build her own self, right? She needs her own energy. Think if you're a parent, how much energy your children are taking from you sometimes. And you could do so much more if you weren't constantly having to provide for them and be there for them and support them. But it's the job of being a parent. And Mother Earth understands her role. But eventually, as parents, we're saying, okay, you go to your room and you read for a little while and you give mommy or daddy a break. We need to breathe here. In the same sense, this is what the planet is doing at this time. It's the time where the Mayan calendar, we all remember the big fuss about 2012, how the world was going to end because the Maya calendar ended. It was very clear that everything came to an end in 2012. It's not. Now we're in 2020, obviously. We can stop being stressed out about that. But it's not that the world was going to end. It's the world was going to end as we knew it. So things are different. Facebook just died. Sorry. Because the world ended, in the sense of the planet is no longer willing to be supporting us and just have us brutalize her and get through her resources the way we're going through. She's raising her vibration and her own consciousness, and she's shifting. She's learned and she's growing, and now she's moving on to something else. So therefore, we need to be allowing ourselves to move with her. We need also allowing her the changes. For example, there's the fires in Australia, and people are really worried about the fires. But Australia was built on fires. It's not unusual for the fires to take place in Australia. The Aboriginals would do in the past. They would do controlled burns in order to allow the forest fires to be under control, and so they wouldn't have burned as bad as they did now should they had listened. The government had listened and let them do the controlled burns. The reason why they did those burns was to prevent such fires to get completely out of hand because they haven't been burned in a long time. But living with nature and respecting her, and we know that we need to burn this area, we're not going to go and plant our houses there. So the difficulty that we're facing now is not that Mother Nature can't balance itself, is we're preventing Mother Nature from balancing herself because we're pushing our own agenda of we're building a city here, we're building a dam there, and this is what we're doing. And we're not allowing nature to do what it's supposed to be doing. So the Mayan calendar was explaining these things, that there would come a time when the earth would not be able to support this kind of waste going on. It's part of her shifting and her raising her vibration that we are seeing all these earthquakes and all these tsunamis and all these volcanoes erupting after being quiet for so long. It's normal for the planet to be doing these things. Now, it, what does that mean for us? This means that we can also enjoy and benefit from the work that the planet is doing for herself. We can uh, ride the roller coaster, if you will, using the raising and then the vibration of energy. We can raise our own energy. And this is where the chakras of the earth come in, and they're so important. Most of the chakras, or big energy centers on this planet, are laid on ley lines. The ley lines are intersections of lines that are covering the entire planet in a very specific geographical sacred geometry pattern. And where those lines meet, their high point of energy or high concentration of energy. This is where, when people are trying to measure energy, the energy is distorted and the energy is not giving the reading as equivalent as other places. The ley lines carry tremendous energy. When I happen to be on a ley line, or our house has been on a ley line, and I'm sleeping in it, I have a hard time sleeping. I keep having vision. I keep crossing between the third dimension and the other dimension. Just there's no resistance anymore because the energy is so big and so powerful that I can walk between the worlds really, really easily. Now, there usually there's big monuments built on those ley lines. There was a time when people were much more connected to, first of all, the planet and the energy emanating from it. So they always tended to build religious center or churches or gatherings in those specific spots. So we're going to see where those spots are, and you're not going to be surprised. You're going to go, "Oh, I know all of these. I've heard of this," and there's a reason for that. Everyone would travel and pilgrimage to these locations to gain the insight from the heightened awareness that came from the heightened vibration and energy that was from this planet. So we have the base chakra. Now, in the book, I explained that although commonly translated, people are thinking that the chakra located at the base of the spine is the root chakra. It is not. Your roots don't come out from the middle of you. Your roots come out of your feet. So you have your feet chakra, which are your root chakra. But the base chakra, and okay, there's a hand raised here. The foot chakra, feet chakra, they're activated and while you're walking. So if you're biking a lot, if you're kayaking a lot, your feet are not touching the ground. So it's not about just being out in nature. It's really about connecting. So, and a lot of people would say, well, you're sitting down to meditate and that's how you're connecting. Not quite. That's a different kind of connection. You're centering your central channel where the main chakras are located, but you're still not grounding yourself. You need to purposely ground yourself. Excuse me. So therefore, the feet need to be touching the ground. It's good to go barefoot once in a while. You have to be able to grow these energetic roots from your feet. But that's to get energy from the planet Earth and get communication from the planet Earth and be connected to the planet Earth. Now, the base chakra is the center. Now, for those of you out there, it's the red chakra that you see in a lot of the posters or a lot of the signs everywhere. Another question? Yes. Why is there 7 and I speak of 13? Because, and that's written in my book, the man that took the information of these 7 chakras brought this over to North America and figured that we were too dumb and stupid to understand the implication of chakras and wanted to keep it as simple as possible and wanted us to buy into it. And figured, I'll start with that, and then we can always bring out the information later about the other chakras. Because what are we going to understand about manifestation and the power of thinking and affirmation when this all started? And, you have one heart. What would you have 2 hearts for? So he decided to pick the ones that match the rainbow. the colors of the rainbow. And that makes it really easy to memorize and also market, right? If you look around and you see how much money is going around, people buying flags, buying crystals, buying candles, buying whatever. Everything's in seven chakra. It looks pretty. It's all the colors of the rainbow, and it's marketing, and it's easy to make money. Now we're saying, hang on, you're missing a few things, and they're like, oh no, everybody's buying the seven. All the posters are made for seven. All their jewelry, all the bracelets, it's all made for seven. So we're not going to change it, which is fine, because you don't need all of those things. And you can make your own personal crystal kits, and you can make your own personal pendants, or working with the 13 chakras. And it's okay to work with the other colors. So today we're going to be working with the full range of colors. So now back to the base chakra. Yes. Got to make sure I answer everybody's questions as I'm moving along. The base chakra is where we deal with our ancestry, our families, our sense of security, and all the money. Why is money there? Because that goes in this day and age with our sense of security. What does that mean? Well, when we were cavemen, the sense of security was literally getting grouped together, family, around a fire, and hopefully something that would provide some shelter, protect us from the wind, the cold, the rain, the snow, wildlife, So most of the time, a cavern or a grotto or something of the kind. Nowadays, how do we provide ourselves with shelter, and how do we provide ourselves with food, and how do we provide ourselves with eat? Well, we pay. We pay and we pay and we pay. And so money has become an important part of this chakra. The book, the place on the earth is Mount Shasta in Northern California. Now, if some of you are curious and you actually go on the internet and you start querying chakras of the earth, you're going to see there's quite a few people that have written about it. And some of them, most of them will agree with the order that I give them in. Some of them I've mixed them around and put them in different locations. But I've traveled to all of these places except one. I've worked with these energies. And so what I'm sharing with you today is based on my personal experience and the connections that I have and the information that I receive as a medium from my teachers from the other side. The Mount Shasta energy is tremendous. It's very big. Mount Shasta is a mountain, but as you get to Mount Shasta, you've already been on the mountain for like probably an hour if you go to the root of the mountain. So several spots around the mountain are very, very energetic, and each one of them will help you heal different aspect of the family, the ancestry, the health of the physical, emotional, spiritual body, etheric body, mental body. All of these different places are to get you feel safe, or to get you feel a good base and solid and really anchored into the earth. If you want to know more about why Mount Shasta is so special, I recommend that you read the Telos books, or that you join us on our tours that we do every summer in Mount Shasta. This year we're going from July 13th to 21st. We'll be there for a week. And during that week, we do go to all these special, marvelous vortexes of energy. And while we're in those energies, we're working on different topics. This year, we're working on our core wounds and our different level of consciousness, where we were hurt at what age, and how to heal those things while using the energy given to us by this massive chakra of the earth. For the planet, this represents usually a place of ancestors. For her, inside the mountain are beings who have lived in Lemuria and escaped and survived the destruction of Lemuria and went and sought refuge inside of the mountain and have been living there now for thousands and thousands of years. They are called the Terosians, and they are part of a subterranean network of underground planets. Now, some of you may think I've just got off my rockers and I'm just completely crazy, but I'm not the first one who talks about subterranean cities built inside the earth. Now, in the Telos books, they talk about these, but other authors have also discussed this. And I think that that will be one of the authors I will be introducing in the next series of talks. We will go into fictional stories and fantasy to realize that at the time, telling someone that there were people actually living inside of the earth was not a possibility. So they did share that knowledge, but in a fantasy way. Now, with our level of consciousness and being more aware, we're ready to accept this information, and it allows us to be able to have a better idea of what's happening in those cities. Then we're moving on to the sacral chakra. Now, some people say that the sacral chakra is the sexual chakra. Okay, not so much. First of all, the sexual energy for the chakras is divided between male and female, which is no surprising because we don't see sexuality the same way at all. Men see sexuality with as many partners they can and trying to make babies, and that's their job. And I'm saying this in observing of nature. Anywhere in nature, that is the job occupied by males. They must be the strongest, and the female have to pick the strongest male for the baby that has most chance of surviving. And so their center of sexuality is based in the base chakra. For a woman, the woman's sexuality is based in the sacral chakra because this is where the uterus is, and that's where she's growing the child. And it's the sacral chakra is about relationship. Okay. And so it's about building this relationship with this being, and then having a relationship so we can nurture it long enough so it survives on its own eventually. It's also about our appetites and our desire, but it's mostly about relationship. So if you have an overactive or underactive sacral, please ask yourself that someone that's thin all over the place, but they have these huge bellies sitting in front of them, that usually will mean that they're creating a buffer, trying to push people away, trying to keep everybody at the distance. So the problem is not so much physical, because if it was physical, you'd be overweight everywhere. But if you only have one bulging area, then usually that's very specific to this chakra. What I explained in the book that I wrote is that we can rebalance our chakra using simple things like aromatherapy, so the sense of smell. Not every smell works on everything, and so that's where I help you in the book. I also talk about meditation. Meditation is really important because we have to go back inside of ourselves and go look at what's hidden there, what is happening in that particular chakra. On YouTube, I have several videos available for you so that you can go along and do the meditation, and they're all free videos, so you're always welcome to that. There's also the crystals, how to use the crystals to work with the chakra, which crystal which works with which chakra. There's the use of yoga, there's the use of mudras, there's many things that we can use, or the colors. But one of the things that we're using is actually the location where these energies are at. The sacral chakra is Lake Titicaca in Peru. I organize tours there regularly. I've been going since 2006. I love the energy there. That's my second home. I had several past lives in Peru, so going back to Peru feels like I'm going back home. The next tour for us is in June 2021. Now, some of you are saying, okay, but I can't afford to go to these places, or I don't have the time off to go to these vacations. I mean, we have several reasons why we're not possibly going to these different places. So for some people, simply they don't have a passport, or they are scared of traveling alone, and they're uncomfortable, or they're quite ill and they can't travel. The beauty of this is that you can link yourself through your feet if you're well grounded and link to these places. And that's a different possibility that is open for you to be able to work with these energies and help yourself. This is the center that has the most ley line crossing on the planet, the Lake Titicaca. The other one is Bali. Now, we're moving on to the solar plexus. The solar plexus is your individuality, is your gifts, your talents, your personality, who you are, what you do, what are you good at, what's your passion. It is what makes you you in this lifetime, in this physical incarnation. It's extremely important to have a strong sense of self, an ability to know that what we're good at and what we need to work on. And these energies are available through us to link with in Uluru, Australia. Now, I just traveled there in November, December 2019, so it's very recent. If you have Facebook, I encourage you to follow me on Facebook, because every day I put reflections of what the groups is learning. Whatever I travel with a group, the group is learning something. And at the end of the day, I put it on Facebook. And so you don't even have to go buy pictures to link to these places. I post the pictures for you so that you can look at a picture, look at a fraction, do the work that I suggest through the Facebook post, and then participate, grow, and clear your energy while we're doing it as well. So you're linking through us. Because it's on Facebook, I never delete it. It always stays there. So if you're thinking that you need to work on yourself and you don't know where to start, you can go back to the beginning of our trip, which was around November 19, and see each daily post. And if you read through the post, then you'll see the meditative exercise, the journaling ideas, the questions that we should answer about ourselves. And that's one of the ways to work with the chakras of the earth. So you don't have to come on a trip to benefit from the experience. But obviously, while you're there, the energy is much more intense. Along with that, you are taken away from your regular energy draining. Right? So going to work, groceries, I have to think about this, I have to pick up that, I have to do whatever. Your to-do list is eliminated, and now you're really in the moment. And rather than maybe at the end of the day spending an hour on this, you spend the entire day working on these things. It makes a huge difference. But it is, you pick the way that works the best for you. That's what's important. Now, if you don't have Facebook and you would like to be able to do these things in 2021, now 2020, I'm really busy. We're writing all the Reiki books for all the levels available. We're writing these in English and French, so this is pretty much going to take all of our time in the writing department. But in 2021, we're going to actually have online courses for the chakras of the earth. So for each of the chakras, you will have a list of exercise and a list of meditation and a list of journaling and personal work that you can do for yourself to realign each of your chakra using the planet's energy to help you doing that. Now, the other important point for where the ley lines are laying and where on the planet things are situated is Fuji, Japan. Japan is not the birthplace of energy healing, but it is the birthplace of Reiki. This is one of the places that we'll be going in the near future. I will take my Reiki students with me, and we'll have a pilgrimage to Japan, and we'll go visit the different areas around Kurama and Kyoto, but also Fuji, Japan. Fuji has an incredible high energy and also can help work on the solar plexus. Um, does that mean that the Earth has two solar plexus? It means that the energy shifts, and the planet is restructuring herself. The We know that the North Pole is not straight up. The planet is slightly angled in that department. So there's possible that with certain shift, some of the energy has shifted along with that, and we're going to see that one of the chakra for the planet does move, and it's not a stable, strong point. But most of these points are laid on ley lines. So powerful energy do help us more easily get access to the other side, to stay attached and linked to our higher self, and get answers or messages or guidance to help us through our healing. Remember that everything that I talk about, everything, every podcast, every video, every class is all about raising your awareness and consciousness to lead you to a healing and to heal not just this life, but your past lives, to also heal generational stuff, things that you've been carrying in karma from one community to the next, one family member to the next. So all of this is happening much faster if you're not working alone and if you're in these high points of energy. Now, for the heart chakra, the unconditional love is located in the circle near. Okay, England is not very big. I mean, considering the space that Mount Shasta's base is occupying, or the size, the sheer size of Lake Titicaca, you can't see to the other side. It's a very, very big lake. It's not just one single needle point that we're dropping for this chakra. It's for the entire planet. They're quite big. So on my website, I have Stonehenge, but it's the general area around Stonehenge, which includes Glastonbury, Somerset, Shaftesbury, Dorset. It's all of these things are within 20 minutes drive, maybe 30 minutes drive, depending on how you start your circle. But from a point, you can go to all these places. I was there in spring 2018. Now, this is the home of the Holy Grail. It's the legend of King Arthur. It was King Arthur who wanted to stop the fighting, reunite the people under one king, so they could finally live in peace. He was he had the help of magic. He had the help of the fairies, but he was trying to create one world. That's the idea behind it. And some people are going to say King Arthur was a legend, didn't really happen, and yet I can assure you that Merlin was very real. So that historians are trying to prove or disprove King Arthur at this point is not important. But there was an energy that was there to try and facilitate this change, this gravitational change of the people. And it's one of the areas that is known for the high level of crop circles sightings and exhibiting abnormality in the magnetic field and shifting of energies and all that. So the unconditional love in the human, we're trying to love without condition. We're trying to accept, first of all, who we are, right? Loving ourselves just the way we are. Loving ourselves with our gray hair, our slightly overweight body, I don't know, crooked toes, whatever it is that you don't like about yourself. I always find it very interesting when I ask people, so what is it that, if you could change something magically overnight, what would you change? And it's never what I might have thought it would be. And I'm always very surprised. And I'm thinking, but nobody sees your toes. What do your toes have anything to do with? But, that's where their focus is. And they're not loving and they're not accepting. And so it reverberates through their entire being when you don't do that. So while you're in these energies, Glastonbury as a well, the sacred well there that you can bathe in, you can wash away all these inability to accept who you are. And then it gets transmitted to the outside. It's about unconditionally loving everything and everyone. So it's not just a relationship with a husband or a boyfriend or wife. It's much more than that. It's all your friends, it's your coworkers, it's your dog, your cat. So ask yourself, it's easy to love certain people, but what would it take for you to love someone that you don't like right now? What would it take for you to understand, oh, well, they get on my nerves because of the way they talk? Yes, but that's how they communicate. We the exploration that we did with the heart was asking ourselves, so what does that reflect on me? What is it? What am I learning from this? What is the lesson I should draw from this relationship? That it is good or that it is not? Everything is important. Everything is relevant. We just don't often take the time to see what is relevant, and we get lost in our own feelings, our own inability to see others for who they are. Uh, if someone's very upset, they keep thinking, well, I'm upset, and when you say this, it hurts my feelings, and they are stuck in the shadow of the archetype of the victim, but they don't see that their own words are sometimes quite sharp and quite hurtful, because right now their own pain is so terrible that they cannot see the pain of others. They can't, they don't have the ability to do this connection. So working with these energies is allowing us to get out of the shadow of the victim, empowering ourselves, allowing ourselves to grow and to change, allowing ourselves to be the best of who we are. We're all suffered. We all had something bad happen. To think that we're the only one that something bad ever happened to, we're deluding ourselves. Everybody has had something happen to them. And we've all been victim of something. What's the difference? And the difference is you can say, well, this happened to me and this will never happen to me again. So someone like I got raped at 14. I'm like, hey, this is not gonna happen again. I learned self-defense. I learned how to project energy. I learned to recognize situation that might lead to a difficult situation. I've put some time and effort in talking to young girls, because this isn't just, it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to anyone I know. So we're spending some time doing conference, raising awareness, talking to boys and girls on how to be, your right to say no, and all those things. So you need to shift this energy and be able to be empowered. And that's all located in the unconditional love chakra. So being able to work with this energy, and Glastonbury is, it's nowhere near London. So it's got a beautiful, beautiful energy. Everything is so green there. It's absolutely lovely. So yeah, it's a beautiful time to work. And this is what you would work on during that period. Now, next, the high heart chakra. Now, this is your second heart. That's located just between the throat and the unconditional love in the upper chest. It is regulating by the lungs. So anything that is affected your breathing would mean that this chakra needs a little bit of help or clearing or extra energy, or is being overworked. Now, what is the universal love chakra? That's the chakra where we give, where we share, where we volunteer. We spend some time doing things for others, not expecting to be paid. So it's not a job. And a lot of the times, anyone who's volunteered will tell me, well, we don't get paid with money, but we get so much out of it. It brings us joy. You see the people that smile, or you see a clean park and everybody's happy, everybody's grateful. Yeah, sure. But the idea in the first place is, the odd person would do it to get the credit, but most people will just do it in order to facilitate a better world. And I always tell everyone that I talk to, what if we could just volunteer 4 hours a week? What if everybody could put in a 4 hours? What different world would we live in? Because there's shortage of employees, or where there's no money to pay for certain jobs, if we'd volunteer for those, we'd live in a different world. Um, for some people, it would be to go visit the elderlies. They're so lonely, and they're living in their, they've been so pushed away from the family circles, that anyone would take the time to go visit them and chat with them and be with them would be of great service. All of these scouts and guides that are cleaning parks and cleaning rivers, or adult children that, based on what they've learned as children, are taking on the initiative of going for with a few garbage bag and donating a whole day cleaning their area where they enjoy spending time. um, we have so many opportunities to the soup kitchens and the thrift shops and all of the places that lend a hand, and they don't have the money to pay employees. So without volunteers, nothing would get done. Someone with the most clear and open and charged universal love in the recent time would have been Mother Teresa, who gladly gave her every day her hand, her love, acted without judgment, acted without um, wanting the publicity or newspapers to pay attention to her. And she went about every day helping someone. And it was just one person at a time. And it was okay, because that was the best that she could do. There was actually a journalist that wondered if it was really worth what Mother Teresa did, because she could only help so little people, such a small percentage of people who needed help. But we have to look beyond the actual people that she helped and the influence that she created all over the world. She's become known all over the world, and she was a fabulous, fabulous, a very intelligent woman with such a great heart. And she became a role model. She became an example for us to follow. So it's nice that you can have some model to follow in that department. And like I said, not everybody needs to donate their entire life, 8 hours a day for the rest of your life, but 4 hours a week, that's not a whole lot. I mean, anybody who's coaching a team for their kid is at least donating that. There's a lot of people that are doing that and more. So just think and wonder, this would be like one of the exercise I would suggest while I was in England posting these daily meditation or thoughts. I would say, well, just think now, what could you volunteer at? Where could you give some time to someone? How could you give back to the community? Because you live in that community and you want to make that community a better place. So how can we do that? By donating some of our time. In the higher heart of the planet is in Ireland. And this is lovely. We're having a tour this September coming. We're going for 2 weeks, and we're going to be visiting all of again, Ireland is quite small. It's not that big. And all of Ireland is the chakra, the higher chakra. So there's not a more specific spot than more than the entire country. So think of your body, right? The chakras is covering this entire part of my chest. The chakras occupying my entire throat, and more. So in that sense, when we're talking about the earth chakra, the size is quite big, but people are trying to point more of a center area. In Ireland, we're just going to be going to the highest frequency energy points. We're attending, we're starting in Dublin, and we're going to make our way up to the Teeth of the Dragon. We're going to see Queen Mav's grave. We're going to be to the goddess Bridget's well. And at each of these locations, We're learning how we're connecting with that particular site. How is this site healing which of our bodies? Is it healing our physical body, emotional body, etheric body, spiritual body? And that's what we're doing. We are physically in these places healing these different things. So you can either join us for the tour, or you can follow us on Facebook and see what reflections am I going to put, what exercise am I going to suggest, how are we going to bring this about, this work for our universal love, to open up ourselves and be able to be more giving and more connected, because this is where we're all connected to each other. Everyone is connected. And if one of you suffers, we all suffer, because it's not until everybody's vibration has been raised, and now and until everybody is in a higher frame or ability to manifest and to love, that we can all be finally at that level. So it's everybody's responsibility to help each other into raising our vibration and getting to this point. For my part, I will be exploring during the trip all the 21 lessons of Merlin. And you'll have an introduction to that in the next block of talks in June. We also have with us Maria. Maria is the one organizing the grunt of the tour. I'm taking care of the spiritual activities that we're doing over there, but Maria is a great guide and holder of the Celtic wisdom. So she too will be sharing the particular wisdom of Ireland, which will relate to the high heart chakra. And Ireland is has several ley lines connecting at a certain point. So all of the place that we're visiting are all on the ley lines, and then we're going to try to get to the place where the most line connect in order to see what this does to our body physically, to be in these high energetically vibrational areas. Now, for the throat chakra, remember I said the throat includes the heart, the mouth, the tongue, the teeth, the ears. In the same way, they're located in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, but also, there's more to it than that. It connects with Mount Sinai, where Moses received the tablets and conversed with God, and the Mount of Olives, where Jesus went to pray. He didn't choose this location just because it was handy and nearby. He specifically chosen that location because he was being supported energetically and received a lot of insights and was hearing clear messages and was being supported from the other side. I went there in January 2016. That experience is all documented in my book, the Biography of a Spiritual Transformation. You can see the different places we went and how the work was done. There are ley lines crossing in Africa, but none of them are crossing near the pyramids. Now, the pyramids in themselves are built to line up with certain stars, but they're very mathematical, very astrological, and astronomy oriented, just like Stonehenge is. So someone said, oh, there's no energy at Stonehenge. Well, Stonehenge was not the area where people were holding the religious ceremonies, the spiritual ceremonies. That is where they were calculating the phases of the moon, the change of seasons. They were measuring the planets and the stars. So although it's close by, because obviously they're benefiting from the energy located in that area, in the same way, the pyramids are the equivalent of Stonehenge. So they are close to this energy, but it's not exactly where the chakra is located. If you notice by now, Mount Shasta is a mountain. Lake Titicaca is a lake, but it's at the top of the mountains, of the chain of mountains in Peru. Uluru is a mountain spiking up of nowhere in the flat desert of Australia. And then we go to England for the heart, and Ireland for the higher heart. But again, they are the top of mountains. So if we lower the water those would be mountain peaks. So to have the throat chakra related to the pyramids, which is laying flat, there's no height there. So the whole Nile is coming from the mountain, is being fed off the mountain. And my impression of when I was there, and I was on the Nile and off the Nile for 9 days, was more that the energy is coming from the mountains and being distributed just like the physical heart is distributing the blood all over the body, bringing its nutrients and oxygen. The Nile is doing the same thing for Egypt. But the actual chakra is further down south than where Alexandria or Cairo is. Closer to where the ley lines are actually intersecting. Now, we go to the other chakra that very little people know, the manifestation chakra. Now, that was the one that when it was brought over to North America, he said that they can understand family ancestry and, they can understand relationship and love and all this, but manifestation, this goes against any kind of religion we had in North America. To think of something and actually make it appear sounded more like magic, sounded like something that is out of this world. However, we now know, with all the progress that humanity has done, all the books that have been written, all of the teachers that have appeared and are teaching us, for example, Louise Hay, she's teaching us affirmations. Psyche is teaching us subconscious beliefs, which are born in the manifestation center. Our thoughts can be changed, they can be corrected into creating something good instead of something fearful of something negative. We're working with now the Simonaire in Hawaii released the wisdom of Huna and the spiritual principles of Hawaii, which is a different podcast I've done, teaching the world that we have to be careful because what we're thinking is actually what it is that we're creating. So if you're spending 5 minutes a day meditating on something you want, like an abundance of money, but you're spending the rest of the day worrying about bills and not having enough, you're putting more energy in creating not having enough, as opposed to actually trying to get abundance. That's where the different tools come in. The manifestation center for the planet is in Maui, Kauai, in Hawaii. When you go there, it has this amazing energy of feeling that everything's okay. So your thoughts can transform. Instead of being stuck in the cycle of fear and of worry and of what's going to happen, we're able to relax and to be in the moment. And it's a lot easier. I mean, I live in Canada and it's cold outside. And if I don't have boots and if I don't have a jacket, I'm going to freeze. And if I don't have a house, I'm definitely going to be dead. And if my house is not heated, my pipes are going to burst and a whole sort of problem is going to come from that. So I can see why people are worried because they need money for all of those things. But what the Maui Hawaiian people, the Huna principle is teaching us is you don't have to worry if you have faith that God will provide. And that is a lesson that Jesus is trying to teach us in the Bible when he says, why do you worry? Does the bird worry where his next meal is going to come from? Does the bird worry that it won't have the materials to build a nest? And do you not think that, God loves you more than he loves the bird and will take care of you? But God respects our free will. And God is offering us these possibilities as long as we accept it and we ask for help. And this is all of the teachings behind the Huna spirituality of Hawaii. And if you go there and apply these principles while you're on the islands, it's magnificent. I was there in June and December 2016, and I put to the test all of these learnings. And it was a lot easier with those energies to be able to restore the proper energies and vibration in my manifestation chakra. And for those of you who know that the difference between all the work I've put into this since 2003 to 2015 has grown exponentially in 2016 to now. In the short 3 years that I've been to Hawaii and realigned my manifestation chakra and now manifest properly, I am making things happen faster in a greater scale than I would have thought possible. And there's a part of me that always says, and more. And it's okay. And I'm accepting and is saying yes. Instead of reacting in fear and doubting, I'm embracing everything that is being brought up to me. And the more open I am, the more connected I am, the more guided I am. It's a wheel. So it goes faster and faster and faster. Hawaii has certain lines connect, and there'll be 3 lines connecting. But Hawaii is one of those places where several of these lines are just connecting in that very specific spot. Now, for the third eye chakra is here. I'm not sure why it's called the third eye, because it's not just about seeing, it's literally the communication center of the soul. So it's much more than seeing. If you're clairvoyant, so yeah, sure, you see colors, you see people's auras, you can see past loved ones or dead people that are passing into the light. You can see angels, archangels. You can see all these things. Sure. But what about the clear audience, the people who can hear messages? And there's plenty of those. So they're saying, so I'm hearing through my ears. No, you're still hearing through the third eye. So look at it as if the third eye is open and fully functional, you have lifted a veil. You have removed something that allows you to communicate with the other side. Now, I communicate with you using my voice through video or through radio. Um, Other people will communicate with you using sign language, using their hands, but they're still communicating. Other people will communicate through art or through music, but they're still communicating with you. In the same sense, your soul communicates with you by either sending you messages through images using your clairvoyant, or through hearing messages, so clairaudient, or through feeling in your body, which is where meditation becomes so important, because you need to be able to hear messages that you're having your soul sending through your body. So if your body's not calm, if you're taking a bunch of caffeines or cigarettes or drugs, you're altering the way that your body can perceive messages and affecting your ability to interpret those messages. So your soul, that's clear sentient. Your soul also talks to you with a clear cognizance, which is knowledge. You ask a question and you have an impression, you have an answer, you know this, you don't know where you know this from, and you wonder, did I read that somewhere, did someone say that to me? But you know the answer, and that's clear, not cognizance. All of this relates to the chakra, the center, the ball of energy inside of you, your heart pumping energy through all these gifts of ability to communicate, through the clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, clairalient. All of these gifts come into play through the third eye. Now, this one is referred to as the Aeon Activation Center, and that relates to the pineal gland, and does shift throughout Europe, but it is located in Europe. Now, again, why is it shifting? I think that one of the reasons why it is shifting is what we're doing to these places. How many wars we fought, how much blood has seeped into the earth, how much scar do we put on the land, and the planet is shifting. its energy, um, not just because of the shifting of the planet and the magnetic poles and all that, but also because she's unable to get through to us because we've scarred the land so much. And the third eye is her ability to get in touch with us. And if we're not listening, and the area is completely destroyed, she has the ability to go and connect in a different place. And this is the chakra that opens portals and allows extra dimensional energy to enter this world. And so if you're having a trouble understanding this, in our body we're having one chakra, but it's utilizing our ability of knowledge, of seeing, of hearing, of feeling, of smelling, of tasting, of all those senses to communicate with us. So does the planet. And so if she's trying to communicate one way or another, she can open new portals to open a new way of communicating. So therefore, at the time when I was in Europe in spring 2016, it was in Avebury, England. Some people say that they're joining right now the third chakra with the heart chakra, and it's in Glastonbury. But all of these areas are very, very, very close. And I've been to some of the portal openings, like in Lake Louise in Canada in 2012. I was there when the portal opened. It was makes a big difference when these energies come in, and once they're open, they stay open until something happens and they get plugged up and they get closed up. So Lake Louise, Canada, is in the Rockies. It's in the mountain. It's absolutely beautiful, and we were on the mountain when these portals are opening and the energy's coming through. Um, it's a way for us to receive information and to communicate with the planet, and the planet is trying to give us messages, and she's using her third eye chakra to open these portals and for herself to receive message and help from other dimensions, other planets, other sentient being that are bigger than we can conceive. The crown chakra is at the top of the head and sits not inside the head but on the top. The way that the Buddhists describe it is the ball is in the center of a lotus with 1,000 petals. If you do any energy work, you'll know that sometimes the flowers, the petals are closed and there's nothing coming through. What is the crown chakra? Is your connection to the universe. So it's your connection to your higher self first off. So if you're not open, you can't receive messages. So you're all ego, you're all personality, you're all about the material world. You're not about spirituality, connection, connectivity, the universe, your soul's purpose. Now, a lot of you are looking for their soul's purpose, and they're wondering, why am I here? What am I doing on this planet? What's my job? Why was I born at this time in this country to these parents? And those are very, very important questions. That's what we'll be exploring when we go to Tibet. And that trip is planned for June 2022. And I'm going to be walking you through these questions to this opening of the crown chakra for you. And those of you who want to follow us on Facebook and do it along with us or get the e-course, you will be able to buy the internet course and follow along. The Tibetan, first of all, Tibet is called the top of the world. So it's the country that is at the top of the mountains. So it makes sense that it's the crown chakra. The Tibetan people are, Tibet is the spiritual center of the planet. So again, that makes a lot of sense as well. The Himalayas, again, is another chain of mountains. So you can see that the chakras of the planet are usually centered around mountains. It's where the last of the dragons lived in the third dimension before shifting to a higher dimension. It's been recognized for thousands of years by the Tibetan people especially Mount Kailash, which is the crown chakra for the planet. And the monks, Buddhist monks, do a pilgrimage all the way to Mount Kailash and walk around the mountain to connect to this energy and to enhance their ability to be connected to the rest of the world and the rest of the universe. They do so in a very particular way. They will take a step, lay down on the ground, and then get back up and stand, take a step and lay down. And um, it would be a lot of work. Think of it: get up, get down, get up, get down. They do that for 3 days, walking around the mountain. But that is their pilgrimage. It's a way that they're really trying to connect, to reach into the mountain, to draw these energies for themselves, to allow their crown chakra to be open. Now, the other energy points in the world, and those you will hear them. I will speak to some of these, but you've heard of this. This is not like a big secret. Bermuda Triangle, again, why is it a big energy point? Because there all the readings are off. The magnetics energies are all, I wouldn't say screwed up, but I would say unmeasurable or variable when they should be stable. The Devil's Sea Triangle in Japan is the equivalent of that. Then there's Lake Louise in Canada that was opened, but there's Sedona, Arizona. Now there's tours in Sedona. If you go to Sedona, you can literally see places. They'll say, sign up for the Vortex tour. It's a huge energy point. It's also the sister mountain area of Mount Sinai. So and Mount Sinai is related to the throat chakra. And this would be the second port of energy that is also available to the planet. Just like Uluru and Japan is the second port to Uluru for the energy. We have Feinhorn in Scotland, Kiev in Ukraine, Bali in Indonesia, the Easter Island. Huge energy there. This is off the coast near Peru. We have Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Gabon in West Africa, in Cape Town in South Africa. And I would say, as far as Africa is concerned, Mount Kilimanjaro was quite amazing as well, energy-wise, and Lake Tapau in New Zealand. These are all the places where all these lines are multiply connecting to one another. They're joining there, and they are amassing huge amount of energy. So to go there, to meditate there, to be able to partake with these energies is amazing. So it's all over the planet. So it's not like we can say, well, they're all in Canada, you have to come here, right? Everywhere around the world, there's a way to connect with these energies. And usually the Aboriginal of the land will know these places. They will have pilgrimage in their ancestral ways to these places. They will respect and honor the energy of these places. They will recognize the power that sits there, and they often find themselves to be the guardian of these energies. So if you want, because as you see, all of these places are very, very well known. There's plenty of pictures that can be found on the internet or in books or magazines. And when you're linking yourself with these energies, the way to link yourself is to have the image and to see yourself linking to this image, to see yourself in this place, surrounding yourself with the image that you have, and allowing yourself to be connected to these energies. Now, if some of you do Reiki, you know that we can send a Reiki long distance. All we need is a departure point, which is us creating the energy for the other person, and the end point, and sending the energy to this person. It's done all the time. I just started class this weekend, and the people send energy to Sweden, and they send energy to I believe it was Vancouver or somewhere else. And the person on the phone after we did this said, yes, I felt a change in temperature. I felt tingles. I felt something happening. Definitely, even though we have a whole ocean separating us, you can perform the same exact thing by linking to these places through the image. That's your link. We're looking at the person's picture when sending the energy. So instead of that, you're linking to the energy of the locations on the planet where these chakras are. And now, if you're saying that, well, I don't have Reiki, I don't do energy work, I don't know how this all works, I don't do meditation, this is what the center is here for. We allow you to come here and meditate. We also teach meditation classes. We'll have a new class starting in June. We teach Reiki because why do we choose Reiki over Tetra healing or hands-on healing or my gosh, there's so many. There's Qigong. There's they're all about transmitting energy, reading energy, feeling energy. But Qigong requires almost 1,000 hours, so it's quite an investment of time on the part of the people. I could teach Qigong, but why do I teach Reiki? I teach you Reiki because it's easy, simple, and it only takes 2 days. And you're able to start doing these linking and these distance energy shift. And that's all you need. So I always pick the easiest way for you to be able to learn these things. And then for your greatest good, for your greatest healing. So if any of those things interest you, you drop us a line, you drop us a call. We'll be more than happy to guide you through all that. So I don't know if we have any questions. I guess the questions came up as I was, as I was doing the talk. So there's no more questions at this time in the room. And I don't see anybody writing any comments in the YouTube. So this is the end of our talk for tonight. I thank you for your time and for showing up every week and watching. Please don't hesitate to subscribe or share the link with others if you think that this is useful to other people. And we'll talk to you. The next talks are starting in May. So now I'm taking a little break to do the research, to do the next few talks. And we'll be live in Coquitlam. And so if you guys want to join us, you must reserve your spot because we are limited on the number of space that we have. But you are welcome to attend live in person and ask your questions in person. Otherwise, join us live on YouTube, Facebook, or the podcasts. So I wish you all a good night.